Before that, we have things like the Glorious Revolution. We have things like the Bill of Rights, which firmly establishes the principles of frequent parliament. And so you have the House of Lords and the House of Commons, right? Kind of sounds familiar, kind of like our Congress, Senate, and the House of Representatives. But within that 1689 document, free elections and freedom of speech within Parliament, known today as parliamentary privilege. It also includes no right of taxation. What? England, right? They're taxing like crazy, but there's no right to tax without approval by Parliament. The right of petition and the right of just treatment by peoples of courts. This kind of sounds like America, right? So what's going on in England in 1689 is really making a difference here. The main principles of the Bill of Rights are still in force today and being cited in legal cases. And again, it was used as a model for the U.S. Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, the quote-unquote, the freedoms of the U.S. Constitution. So again, Enlightenment is changing the way people think in the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th century. To me, it starts with the Renaissance and moves forward. Again, history is a perspective, and everybody has a different opinion on it. That is part of my opinion. So with that, you also have science. And of course, something that Dr. Priestman didn't mention, I'm also a nurse. And you're like, what? How is he a nurse? You're doing way too many things. Yes, I do. So I was a gunner's mate in the Navy, and I became a corpsman after some things happened, and I've always loved nursing ever since. And so I had to throw this slide in. My wife's a nurse as well. Hey, baby. And it's part of my background. So for me to not put in something about science does not do justice, because I think it is part of this story. And you're like, that is a long arc. I told you it was a really broad arc when I was talking about this. So let's move on. As you can see here, the Enlightenment emerged from new science on the search for new knowledge. And it emerged from this ideas that took place in Europe, emphasized the accumulation of stable, testable knowledge. This began in the 15th and 16th centuries, as I mentioned, from the Renaissance, moving forward into the times of revolutions. People like Copernicus and Galileo, right? I think we've heard a few of those individuals. Used mathematics and observations of the night skies to prove that the Earth actually revolved around the sun, right? It's not the other way around, contradicting older assumptions about the structure of the universe. So also in the 16th century and early 17th centuries, you had Sir Francis Bacon and the scientific hypothesis. So remember like 10th grade biology class where you do an experiment, you're like, I think that balloon is going to float because of helium, right? So the idea is that you take the scientific method, you can apply that to society, right? At least in my views you can. And I think that is a lot about how the scientific method kind of relates a little bit to the social political environments in England and the American colonies. It's important to think about. It began a new way of acquiring knowledge about the world through testing and rigorously controlled experiments. And some scientists began to identify natural laws governing the universe. And that's part of my key words is natural laws, natural rights. And that's something that you begin to see take shape during this era.